All right. Give everybody a chance to get in per usual. All right, guys. Let's talk some practice. Let's talk some fall camp. Let's talk some football. It's here. Fall camp's here. And we're rolling with it. This is the Auburn Live at Noon show today. That is not true. It is, Auburn Live. Auburn Sports, the Auburn Sports at Noon show now at 1 as of today. Still trying to get used to that. Auburn Sports, formerly Auburn Live. Justin Hokanson is going to join me here in a few minutes. We got several questions on the corner to answer on this show. Looks like everybody's fired up. I love to see that. So we'll give y'all a chance to get in here, and we'll start answering those questions. If you have questions, please drop them in the comments on this video in the live chat there, and we'll try to get it to you as well. I know everybody's got questions. We got a lot of things to discuss. We can do a deep dive into practice. I did put up a show of a solo show of my own, pink show, whatever we want to call it, on the corner and the bunker this morning. So if you're not subscribed with us, you come in for $1 for 1 week right now. That can be yours. It is a members only show where I definitely did a deep dive into practice, did a deep dive into some of the things going on, what Free said on Wednesday. So go check that out. For now, we'll try to answer any questions you have as they come in. Let's go ahead and I want to go ahead and dive into some of the questions that we have on the corner on the thread that I put up earlier today. And we'll answer some of those and see where we're at. So, Jaylee's Pinkhead. Oh, it's only been one practice. But how does this Auburn team look compared to years past? So, to me, it didn't look any too much differently from what we saw in the spring. You have a few new pieces added, like Caleb Wheatland. I didn't really look at defense much yesterday. That was Caleb Jones. I was on the offensive side for the most part. But, the first thing you notice, I think, is just how many – you start looking at the numbers, you start looking at the names, and you're going, that guy can play. That guy can help. That guy's not going to maybe be, first team, but he's going to be a major rotational piece, and there's just so many guys that are like that. And, man, it's like, whoo. Compared to some other teams, you've realized what kind of position they were in going into the season. I feel much better about this one. This one feels better. I love the way it looked. I love the way the roster's shaping up. It's looking great, right? Again, didn't really look at the defense that much, but offensive line is where I'm looking at it and going, offensive line looks nice. Offensive line looks good. So, that's the part where everybody's been worried about. Everybody's wanted there to be, better at the top. And I think, with Free saying the top 5 guys being draftable, that's crazy. That's crazy. So I guess compared to other teams, it just looks like they got more players, man. And it's not just necessarily on a looks basis thing. I mean, there's guys like Keldrick Falk and Xavier Chaplin, and where you look at them and go, that's different. But comparing the rosters, you're like, yeah, there's a lot more guys that can help right now. That's a big deal. Your mom on the board wants to know, can everybody hear me okay? I see some people saying my audio is skipping. I'm not sure what's causing that. Let's see here. Okay, let me know if that's any better. Let me know if that's any better for y'all watching. Your mom on the board wants to know, in my opinion, what is the most glaring difference between Freeze's approach year 1 to now? Well, I think Freeze has made it very clear what his difference is. His difference is we're going to make sure that quarterback is in a better place, in a mental state. Not physical. We got that part handled. I feel like they got that handled with Jackson Arnold. Okay. Zach says it might be my internet, but there's a YouTube glitch. had some issues going on. It's a YouTube glitch, possibly, is what's going on. Let me go back to my mic here because I think that's not the issue. I apologize for any skips y'all might have on that while we're watching this here, but I think the glaring difference now is that Freeze himself is more comfortable with what he's looking at. He's looking at his roster and going, man, we've got more pieces. I feel good enough. I said this on my show, like, look, if you need to simulate live games in practice, you feel better about doing that. You feel better. If you need to simulate pressure in games, you can do that. If you do lose someone, you don't want to lose somebody, but you're in a position now where you can. You have more behind the starters. You have more guys that you trust. So I think that's the difference. There's a little more confidence in his roster going, we can try some things. We can do some things at practice and maybe be a little more physical, whatever the case. I think he feels better about that part of it. Let's see. Justin Clayton wants to know, does Alex McPherson look okay? Man, I didn't really look at the kickers that much. They are on a different field. In fact, when my dad used to be at Auburn, he was there when Pat Dye was there. He said every time a kicker would miss a field goal, Pat Dye would come up and say, man, we have given you your own field. How are you missing field goals? I always think about that every time. And they are on their own field. They're in the indoor doing kicking the whole time. But it looked like Alex McPherson is, as far as I'm concerned, back to his normal self. He's never been a big guy, so you can't really tell. And even when he lost a lot of weight, it wasn't overly noticeable. It was somewhat noticeable, but not crazy. He looks fine. He looks normal to me now. I think he's going to be ready to go. I think Freeze mentioned that McPherson even skipped out on a surgery that could have held him back from playing this year that he probably needs. So he is he's trying to get it done. He's trying to get to playing this year. Hayden Beasley wants to know, outside of execution, what does the offense need to do to improve goal line and short yardage situations? Good question. This goes right in with the situational stuff that Freeze has talked about. That's all it is, man. I think play calling was okay on goal line situations, short yardage most of the time. Now going back and watching every single play from every game last year, I feel like I have some credence when I'm talking about this because I just finished up on that. There were times when I thought, let's see, what game was it? It might have been Kentucky or A&M, maybe both. Auburn gets in a goal line situation and they do a quarterback run where Thorne is your gap runner. So they run a counter or a power, meaning there's a designated hole to hit it in right here, and it's Thorne running it. And I'm like, man, I don't know about that. That doesn't seem like a great decision. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Why not? You have 27 right there. That guy's pretty good at running those kind of plays. And I thought there were a lot of times when they should have done that more. So you got to clean up some of that. And then it's execution. It just goes down to execution after that, which is it goes all into what Freeze talked about on Wednesday, talking about how he's got to have his quarterback confident, bottom line. And I'm on board with that. However you think you got to do that, do it. I think that would be great. Let's see. Rice. Our guy Rice on the board. His reputation precedes itself. He says, do you think linebacker and interior defensive line rooms are better than first perceived in the offseason? Rice says those are the major question marks for fall camp in his opinion. Rice, I didn't really look at defense, but just going off of what I know, man, I feel a little bit better about both of those rooms. I'm still worried about the experience level at linebacker. You got some things that are going to be glaring in games when they get in situations. It's going to be there. Okay, that's just what happens when you have young guys. That's the part of when everybody criticizes, last season. It stuck out even more to me than it did watching it in person live, going back and watching it during the season. When I came back to this rewatch here in the last 2 months, how much having freshmen on the field really hurt you. You can crap on Peyton Thorne all you want. Have at it. That's fine. I'm on board with that for a lot of things, but it ain't all on him, and that's what worries me going into this season because you can fix your quarterback, but there's still some issues going on. So I think a lot of those issues get alleviated by some of those freshmen getting older and having a year under their belt. Not to mention they're playing for the same coordinator. I don't know if you understand how big of a deal that really is. So with linebacker, you don't have that, right? Robert Woodard, he played, but not really. He actually played a little bit more than I thought, but not really. He wasn't playing too many significant snaps. You had Caleb Wheatland. He's coming from a different defense, so not sure yet how that looks. And then you pretty much after that got freshmen. Xavier Atkins is going to be considered a freshman. You have DeMarcus Riddick. Now, he falls in that category where he did play, but he was in a specific role. It's a little different. He was not playing wheel linebacker all the time. He was playing, hey, we drew this up for you. And I think they will continue to do that. You don't want this to be a Harold Perkins situation at LSU where he was awesome his freshman year playing that little, jack of all trades role. And then they go, all right, you're a traditional linebacker. And his production goes down. And he's not all over the place anymore. You don't want to do that with Riddick. You want to keep him in that skillful role that he's in. And I think they will. I think that's the whole point of having a guy like that. But linebacker is inexperienced altogether, and that worries me. That worries me a little bit. But they go as good as well as the interior defensive line goes. And what I love about this year's interior defensive line is that it's kind of stacked. No, you don't have a Derek Brown. You don't have a Nick Fairley. You don't have a guy like that. But you have a lot of guys. And I think if you go back to maybe the 2013 defense, I think it was 2013. Yeah. Auburn had like 8 or 9 deep. You had a Gabe Wright. That was a good guy. Was pretty good. You had D Ford on that team. He was probably the best. He was an edge rusher, though. I think Auburn's pretty good in that regard. Keldrick Falk, Kieron Crawford. But I feel good about the interior defensive line because you can really go 4 deep there. Malik Blockton, Bobby Travis. And then I love the freshmen, Malik Autry, Jordan Crawford. I love James Ash. He looked the part. I saw him running by. I was like, ooh, okay. That looks like it's supposed to look. So I'm feeling a little bit better, Rice, about those 2 positions right now. Rebecca, which player are you personally most excited to watch develop during camp? I think I'm really excited to watch Darrell Robinson. I like Darrell Robinson. I like what he brings to the table. If he is truly, he had surgery on his turf toe, so we know that was pretty serious. If he gets over that, if he's starting to feel better, what he was doing while having turf toe, I think, man, you might have a little stud on your hands here at running back. He's got to put on a little weight. I think he's still a little thin. And he's got that frame where he can still build on it a lot. I think he's still a young guy. If you actually look at it, he's played some, but not a whole lot. And he hadn't been in college that long. So still a young guy there. Maybe another guy, Becca, is I really love Jordan Crawford. I've loved Jordan Crawford for a long time. I love Kinsley Faustin, Darion Smith, these younger players. You saw Kinsley Faustin. I saw him a lot more than I realized when going back through the games. And then Jordan Crawford, seeing him at practice, he looks the part. I think he's going to be fine. So, like those guys, I'm excited to see their development. Omar Mabson really stood out to me at practice as well. Speaking of running backs, Napoleon Brown, what's the running back room look like? Well, you had Jeremiah Cobb was limited. Limited. He's got some kind of hand injury. I can't remember exactly what Freeze said, but they were not throwing him the football at practice. So he would run the route and he'd turn around like to catch the ball and they wouldn't throw it to him. So they're not ready to go that far with him yet, but he is going through everything. His legs are fine. Everything's fine there. I think he's okay. Running back room as a whole, I think if Omar Mabson comes on like it looks like he might be doing, this running back room gets better to me because I think he can help. Alvin Henderson's there too. He looked fine to me on Wednesday. It's interesting. It's an interesting room. I'm very excited. I was making this point with my buddy Big Dave on the board. For those who don't know, we were talking earlier today about practice, and we were talking about Kerryon Johnson and what he was saying on Twitter recently, and I got to thinking, because I saw some fans go at Kerryon Johnson and be like, "Man, I don't know how you like. I would understand why you don't like it because you got run into the ground." Do y'all realize that he was the only guy, if I remember correctly, on that 2017 year? Let's see. I'm going to look it up as I'm talking. Make sure I'm right. I think he was really the only proven running back in that room. Yeah, I think you had Cam Martin and maybe Boobie Whitlow behind them. Not entirely sure. But they didn't have a lot of depth. They didn't have a lot of rotation going on. He was the guy. Let me see. Running backs. Cam Martin, Malik Miller, Cam Petway was there, but he hadn't really broken out yet, I don't think. Or maybe he had, and he was doing something else. I can't remember that far back. But they didn't have a lot of options. They had Kerryon Johnson. I think that's the difference in this year's team. You have options. You don't have a Kerryon, but you have options. You could go to Cobb in any circumstance. You can go to Austin in any circumstance. I think you'll be able to go to Robinson in any circumstance. I think Omar Madsen and Alvin Henderson are going to be there for you if you need them. I think they might be ready to help if called upon. So 4 to 5 guys, 3 guys, whatever, that's nice. It's nice to have. Bubba and the Old Man Auburn Sports Talk. It looks like y'all got a show. I think I might have to check that out. That's a very enticing headline. Bubba and the Old Man. I like it. Who plays more snaps this year, Antonio Coleman or Darion Smith? I would put all my money on Darion Smith on that one. I think Antonio Coleman still has a ways to go as far as getting his body right. Lost a lot of weight from high school, transitioning to Auburn for whatever reason. I don't know if he got sick or I don't know what the case was, but he was like 248, I think, when he got to Auburn in the spring. Now he's closing in on 260, so he's starting to get up there. I think his playing weight's probably going to be around 270, 275. That fits his frame the best. That's an explosive athlete, guys. Antonio Coleman. Loved him out of high school. I think he's going to be fine. But I would put all of my money on Darion Smith for that right now because I've heard a lot of good things about Darion Smith. He's kind of the same athlete, explosive, good with his hands. I think he's smaller on the smaller side, but I think he's ready. I think he's ready to help. Zach, by the way, said the third leading rusher on that 2017 team was Eli Stove, 315 yards. That's what they were working with. Auburn was really good that year, obviously, but they didn't have a lot of options. And when Kerryon went down, it was over. You remember how that went? I don't think you would be in that situation with this current running back room. Michael Gibson wants to know, who do you anticipate being the motor behind this defense? Someone who can replace Eugene Asante. I think the direct replacement for Eugene Asante is probably Xavier Atkins right now. And I think Bryce Diaz is going to help out there. Another freshman I would consider ready to contribute. Those two guys, I think they fit that role because, everybody says Eugene Asante's production went down from 2023 to 2024, and that's true. On paper it did. But he was playing a more specific role, the dime role, which is something that I think when Durkin has enough players, he feels comfortable going to that dime because it's a linebacker who can cover and do a lot of things. And you miss some of that in the stats, some of those role changes. I think he still had a good season, made a lot of good plays, maybe a little out of control at times, has to reel it in, Eugene Asante, on the next level to be better. But filling in for him, I think, your similar skill sets are going to be Xavier Atkins and Bryce Diaz. Those are the two guys that I think fit that role. Kane Lockamy, Pan. Are Joe Phillips and Jamonte Waller getting buried in the edge room? JJ Falk officially an edge now. I made a note, Kane, on the board a couple of weeks ago that I felt like we might see J.J. Falk down in the edge role now, and I think he is officially an edge now. That makes a lot of sense. Credit to Alan Head's been calling that from day one. Hey, I think J.J. Falk is going to be an edge. He's certainly built for it, built a lot like his brother Keldrick. So, yeah, I think he's officially an edge. I wouldn't say that Joe Phillips and Jamonte Waller are getting buried, but they're behind others right now, 100%. That is true. They're both still young. Keep that in mind. Still young, still learning. They got some good ones in front of them. Are they going to get recruited over again? We'll have to see. It all depends on how well they come along this fall. Joe Phillips was a guy we were hearing a lot about last year during actual in-season practices, starting to make a move. Jamonte Waller has not gotten a shot because he had a foot injury that he had surgery on and missed spring because of it too, for the most part. So he's really now just getting back into it. I'm very curious to see what he looks like. And I even talked to someone inside the building who said they thought his snap and his twitch was starting to come back. So that's really good news on that. You have to be patient on these two. I think it's going to be a minute before they get into the rotation. I don't expect either one to be in the rotation, at least early this season. I'm not seeing that right now. Keats in the comments says, I thought Joe Phillips was a Mike linebacker. He's been an edge. He played buck linebacker. Justin Clayton, did Riddick gain weight? He didn't look like he gained much to me. Riddick has this build, man, where it doesn't look like he's heavy, but he weighs 230. Some people are built like that. I still think he can add weight to his frame. He's still a little bit lean, but look, as fast as he is and as hard as he hits when he arrives to a ball carrier, I wouldn't try to change too much with him. I think he's in the right place. I think he is definitely where he needs to be. So let's jump back. Unless we have any more questions in the comments right there. Zach says, as a former offensive lineman, I really wish I had the frame that DeMarcus Riddick has. He said, I carried it. Every pound that I carried, I looked like I carried it. Justin Hokanson.
What's up? What's up? How you, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Man, I'm good.
Long week for you, hasn't it?
It's been a wild 10 days, man. I'm just trying to get back into a routine. But fall camp's going. What's the hot topic? What's everybody buzzing about today?
Practice. They want to know about practice. They want to know
practice. We talking about practice?
Practice, not a game.
Not a game.
Practice. Yes, practice. That's what they want to know about. Do I sound choppy at all to you, Justin? Some people were saying we were sounding a little choppy coming through.
I did get a text about it, but you're okay at the moment.
Okay. I think it might have.
Just ignore this shirt, by the way. I've got I'm making nobody. If you're an Auburn Sports person that came over, don't be offended, okay? I've got new shirts coming. I've got shirts coming that say Auburn Sports, so they haven't come in yet. So just don't be offended. It's all I got right now, okay?
Listen,
don't be mad.
It's just going to take a second. We're transitioning.
It's a throwback to the OG. It's a throwback. One day we'll be like, this will be retro one day.
Y'all remember? It's like that Chris Farley skit on Saturday Night Live. You remember when we were Auburn Live?
Hey, you remember that time? That
was
you
awesome.
Did that thing? He's like, yeah. He's like, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
That's a great skit. How much are people?
He goes,
how much are people? Yeah, stupid. That's a great skit. I need to go back and rewatch that.
I know
it. So yesterday the reaction to the going easy on Jackson Arnold, that was insane on social media. Like that tweet went absolutely viral.
Yes, that's
I'm curious. I'm and I say that to say, I read I read a lot of the reaction. It was wild. The reaction was wild. And I didn't know what to think. I mean, I know what to think of it. Like, I have thoughts. But I asked somebody today, that a former Auburn player, fairly recent former Auburn player, and I go, hey, this was the quote. Like, what do you think of this? Like, he was an offensive player. I go, what do you think about that? Is is any part of that normal? Did you go through practices where there were periods that were set up basically to let the offense succeed in that way? And he was like, I've never heard that. He was like, that's crazy. I mean, he's a fair-minded person. He tried to give the benefit of the doubt, like, well, I mean, maybe spring. Jackson Arnold just gets there. You want to ease him in, but he's like, he goes, I hadn't heard that quote. He goes, but that's a first. His reaction was the same as everybody else's, which he immediately was like, you think Kirby Smart's going to go easy? What? He goes, you need to actually that's practices for mistakes. He's like, he needs to throw picks in practice. He needs to feel the pressure, the mental pressure in practice. He's like, he needs to feel it in practice. What if you're not feeling it? Then when are you going to feel it? So I was like, yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I know that was kind of the hot button issue, and Jay Tate wrote about it, and it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I did a whole thing on it too, Justin, and I have a different opinion than most. I'm old school. I like things to be that way. I think he needs to be under pressure a lot. But there's a very key part of that quote that I think people are missing, and it's when he's talking about dirty period. He called it dirty team period.
Dirty ball.
Dirty ball. Yeah, this is where we are going to throw everything at you. I think what he's just saying is, as a staff, we got to communicate more. And I don't want you throwing all your crazy stuff at us when I'm trying to teach him something. Because I've seen it. I've seen it at our practices before. We had a quarterback at Huntington that had the same problem that Peyton Thorne was having all the time, which is why I kind of understood that situation a little bit. During fall camp is the time when defense is working on their stuff, offense is working on their stuff. You're not working against Baylor yet. You're trying to get better at your stuff right now. And the only way to do that is to go live against your own offense or to go live against your own defense. That's just how fall camp works. Well, there's so many times in our practice when we just be throwing the defense just throwing all kind of stuff at them, where I'd see the head coach walk over and go, hey, I get it. You want to unload your stuff? Calm it down for a minute. Let's just run some base coverages. I got to get him to understand this concept. And then we'll get back to it once I know he gets it. So I think what Freeze was saying is we left the practice field sometimes last year where I knew my quarterback wasn't confident in what we were doing. Not good. Not
good, by the way. And that's a whole separate discussion that I was talking to Jay Tate with yesterday after interviews. That's a whole separate discussion, by the way, because that's an admission. Because what Freeze said was, I'm getting back to this. He described his approach, and then he goes, we're going to get back to that. So, that's an admission that maybe last year and the year before, the 2 years with Peyton Thorne, you were doing it a different way.
Yeah.
And now you're almost admitting that you weren't setting Peyton Thorne up for, in your eyes, in Freeze's eyes, if Freeze now thinks this is the way, then he's saying that this other way wasn't the way. And it sort of sounds like you could make the case that he wasn't setting Peyton Thorne, if he believes this, that he wasn't setting Peyton Thorne up for ultimate success. And then you get into that discussion about, now we even want, I don't really want to spend a lot of time, but you sort of retroactively think about the production and the criticisms of Peyton and Freeze and you think about all of that. And now you're like, so now he is basically second guessing his entire preparation of how he prepared and developed Peyton Thorne, which is like probably more energy. I know people are probably moved on from that, but anyway, it's something to think about.
We already knew that when we talked to Chad the other day what is his name? Chad from the That's what that is. That's what all of that is for. Personality trait test. That's what he's doing. He's going, I can't get in that situation again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good news. If you're looking at it like that, yes, he's seeing that it was maybe not the right way to approach everything. He's seeing that they could have done some things better at practice to get him more confident. I take that as great news. Because I don't think, to Brian's question that he asked him, are you taking it? Are you asking DJ Durkin to take it easy? He didn't say, yeah, absolutely. He said, well, we're just trying to make sure he's got confidence.
Well, he admitted to saying that in the spring. He was like, I absolutely told Durkin that in the spring. I absolutely
Kind of
told
laughing
him
at it, though,
told
right?
him to do it. Huh?
I felt like it was
Oh,
tongue
I
in
thought he
cheek.
was. Oh, I thought he was. I thought he was like owning it. I thought he was
This
like,
was
yeah.
this was in the David Pollock interview. I remember it.
Oh,
And
yeah. I
he
didn't know what to
said
think. Yeah,
he
because
said to
he was
David
kind of
Pollock,
laughing.
he started laughing. He was like, "Well, sometimes I'll go to DJ and be like, hey, let's take it easy,' in a laughing way." What blew it up was Cole
Yeah.
Kubelik. Cole Kubelik took so much offense to this, and
Oh, I didn't see that.
that's fine. I can understand both sides. I'm not arguing with you or Jay on this, by the way. I agree with a lot of the points y'all have made. I love Jay's column. Thought it was great. Made some great points in there.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think this is as serious as we're all making it. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think that unless you're in practice, like you got to know to what degree he's taking it easy. And that's we're not literally in practice. He kind of described it. He kind of described there's dirty ball periods where it's balls to the wall, and then there's periods where you let it loose. It's just concerning to hear. When you hear the number one priority of practice is to get the quarterback out confident. That there is some lot, like I get the lot. There's some logic there, right? Quarterback's the most important player. If he leaves the field going, God, I don't know what I accomplished today. I couldn't get anything going. The defense is all over my. I get that. But if in any way, like to what degree are you dialing it back in order for your offense to feel good about themselves? Like that's the only question. If it's a very, very small degree, like, hey, it's just a couple periods where I do tell them to dial it back, but then okay. But if it's, I don't know the answer to that. It's like, to what degree? That's kind of where I'm at. To what degree are you dialing it back? And if it's a small amount, cool. If it's not, I get why people read that and go, it's a little concerning. Like you kind of want, practice is where everything should go wrong. Practice is where like you should just mentally have to grind through it. So when you get to the game, you're like, man, I've seen all this. I mean, if you think about, I don't have to bring up Alabama, but if you go like read interviews from back in the days when Alabama's defense was like 2011 and 12, when their defense was insane, and you read from their offensive players, they're like, practice is the hardest thing we did all year. Like it was way harder than the games. And so that's probably where people get a little concerned. Like, I want practice to be harder than the game. I don't want practice to be in any way dialed back. And then you get to the game and it's crazy. But again,
if you watch any game film from last season, you know that the game was very difficult for them in execution.
Yeah. So
struggle.
Yeah, probably. Yes. Is there overreaction to that quote? Yes, I would say yes. But I do understand where people are like, what does that mean exactly? I don't love to hear that. Well, I'm not sure what to think of that.
The problem is, hang on a second. Let me close this door.
You got a dog? A dog? What's that dog? A dog is agreeing. I think a dog agrees with Hugh.
Yeah, sorry. I'm at my mom's house today. Actually, she's got some dogs down there. But what were we saying? Let me give you an example of something I've seen before in a practice setting, and I actually learned this from watching the All Access Spring, whatever it's called, where they went behind the scenes and had all these.
Yeah.
The way that Freeze talks to them, there's a part in it where he goes, all right, this is a touchdown to Malcolm Simmons. He's just saying that to himself. He's not talking to anybody. They got him on mic saying that. So what is he doing? He's going, all right, if he does it right. And he's not telling him what to do. He's letting him go and make the mistake, right? But what he's going to do if he does make the mistake is walk up and then change it. Sometimes I've watched many coaches go, all right, reload. I want that same defense. We're going to run the same play. Defense, you better go full speed and try to stop this. Okay? Do it again. This is what you're supposed to do. And then he'll stand behind him and talk him through it. Throw it now, throw it now, throw it now. That kind of thing. I think by watching that video, I picked up on that because I've seen a lot of coaches do the exact same thing. I think that's what he was doing. So basically, I think there is a lot of letting them screw it up going on. I don't think he's just holding his hand. I don't believe that narrative at all. But I do believe he's going to DJ Durkin and saying, look, at times I'm going to ask you to reload a play, run that coverage again, whatever the case. I think that's what he's saying. The thing is, the way he answers questions is unlike any coach out there.
What do you mean?
Like the first comment on the thread on this yesterday was somebody made a question like, is this a bad thing? And the guy was like, pretty much everybody does this in their own way. They just don't say it out loud. I think that was probably the best.
Well, Freeze does say some things that you're like, why would you say that out loud? He definitely does some of that.
He could always come back and say, well, you asked.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of things said during a Freeze press conference. Yeah, I think it's also one of those things that we can debate it. We can try to dissect it. It's also one of those things that we'll all see. It's kind of like the NIL recruiting stuff. We can talk about it and definitely talk about it, and we can have opinions on that stuff. We'll find out. We'll find out like in those first month and a half. I mean, you know what I mean? If it looks like if they come out against Baylor and he looks shell-shocked and you'll go, then you can second guess. You can go, oh, it looks a little, this group looks shell-shocked. Well, and then you can go back to this. If they look good and they play well and he looks calm and composed, then you'll go, great preparation. Nothing wrong with how you approached it. Like we'll all find out the answer when it comes time to play games, I guess.
Yeah, when the rubber meets the road. I mean, this is just a microcosm of year 3. If they don't get it done, they're done, kind of thing.
It's just like, God, man, Freeze can't get to a press conference without saying something that people are like, what? He said what?
If he were winning games, nobody would be talking about this. That's all it is. You have to win to get people off your back.
Yeah. You got to get you don't get the benefit of the doubt if you're losing. I mean, that's fair. That's totally fair. That's that's
for sure.
That's completely fair. And I think there's just, you go back to the spring and he talked about Jackson Arnold's confidence and needing to get his confidence back. You think about the personality tests that he's given the team. Definitely a lot of introspection from Freeze when it comes to Jackson Arnold. Okay, how do I mentally get this kid past the Oklahoma debacle of last year? How do I get him back to thinking and believing he's a 5-star quarterback? He's the best quarterback in the country. And I get that. And I understand that thought process. It's almost like he's treating him. It's like how you would treat a player if they were physically injured. They're going to go through rehab, right? You're not going to throw them back on the field. They're going to go through. It's kind of like he's treating him that way from a mental aspect. Like he's mentally injured. I got to rehab him a little bit. I gotta bring him back up to speed. I got to build his confidence back up. And I still think he's a little bit on that, but we are basically in August. So at some point it's it's go time.
But by week 3 of fall camp, that dirty ball period he's talking about, they'll be doing a lot more of that.
Yeah.
Week 1, they're not going to do that as much.
Yeah, I think it was just saying that out loud. I think that's what everybody's
that's all it is.
Yeah. It's like, wait, what? It's just it's a kind of it's just, it's something that you hear your coach saying. You have to sort of stop and go, take it easy. Okay, wait, what? Is that normal? Is that good? Or why are we doing that? Yeah, probably overreacted a little bit, but it was interesting. It was an interesting comment.
I think most people that have been around football and gone through something like a fall camp, which if you have, you'll never forget it. It is one of the most intense things you'll ever do. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot like military training or whatever, because it's constant. I remember thinking, coming from high school where we didn't work out that much in high school, go to fall camp in college. I did go through one of those, and we'd have practice in the morning. We'd have a weight lift at noon. I'm going, I wanted to be that kid in the back that like raises one finger, like, but coach, we practiced today. I don't think we can lift 2. Are we supposed to do that? We didn't do that in high school. Nope, you're doing it all. And you have to adjust to it. It's not easy. And, it's just if you've been through all that before, you probably understand a little of what Freeze is trying to say, at least, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What else was interesting yesterday? I wrote about the freshmen. I thought that was a little bit of a peek into certainly the names at the top of Hugh Freeze's mind when it comes to freshmen that could make an impact. He was asked a pretty open-ended question about freshmen, and he named 12 freshmen that came to mind. And I wrote about all I wrote about that and put quotes in about every kid he talked about. It was interesting. I mean, you go back to last year, we all remember Auburn had the third most snaps by freshmen of anybody in the country. Clemson and Oklahoma were 1 and 2, and then Auburn.
Oh, by the way,
so, yeah,
you sent a group text about to our group text when we were talking about the injury report, Devin Carter, and I was thinking, does he mean DeAndre Carter or Devin Williams? And then I just realized Freeze called him Devin Carter in the Devin Carter is former Auburn wide receiver commit. I believe he's talking about Devin Williams.
Yeah, I just literally saw his quote and just like copied it and said, "Hey, injury report," blah, 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 and then I moved on. I didn't even really give it a lot of thought. Well, he did, yeah. He's done that before. I think he did last either in the spring or something where he combined the names and you're like,
he called J.C. Hart J.D. Law, and everybody was going, now who is J.D. Law exactly? Who is that guy?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Well, and somebody asked about Jared Smith. You know, that's one of the guys he mentioned yesterday in his now viral length and girth comment, which was outrageous. By the way, you do not have to say length and girth that many times in a minute and a half. Like, you could say it once, and then now we know what you're talking about. Now you could use words like range or height or, whatever, like catch radius, or you could use other words, but man, he loves the phrase length and girth, apparently, because he said it about 8 times in 90 seconds.
You have to have it.
Did you see Hudson Cack?
Yes, I was going to say that.
Do you see him? He retweeted.
It's not Cack. It's Cock.
What is it? Hudson Cock. He retweeted it and was like something like, "That's my coach." Like, yeah, with the strong arm.
Couldn't have said it better myself, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Good stuff.
Amazing stuff from Hugh Freeze on day one.
Always, man. Always.
But Jared Smith was one of the guys he's talking about in terms of the freshmen. What are 1 or 2, 3 of those freshmen that he named? So he named, a lot of the ones he named: Sam Turner, he named Jared Smith, he named Kai Ellis, he named Melendez, Woodby, Fagan, Winters. He named Deuce Knight, but we kind of know that situation.
Duke Smith.
He named Jared Smith, Crawford, Autry. 1 or 2 of those guys. If you had to pick like 2 above everybody else, where would you go to like put your money on somebody like Caleb Harris last year that played, or obviously Cam Coleman's Cam Coleman, but maybe somebody that's like for sure going to get a massive number of snaps. Like, there's just no doubt this dude's going to be a part of Auburn winning and losing football games. Let's put it that way.
Anquan Fagans, Elijah Melendez.
That's probably where I'd go to. I definitely was going to say Melendez just because I don't know about linebackers, and I feel like he's just got to play.
I think those 2 have to play. They're good enough to play. They're going to have issues because they're freshmen, but they have to play. They're that good, and they're going to be relied upon. I think Jordan Crawford and Malik Autry probably too, but there's a lot of D linemen there. I see a pretty clear path for Anquan Fagans to be the starter at the other safety, and then you could make a case easily for Elijah Melendez being the starter at Mike linebacker.
Yes, Michael Gibson. I know it was funny. I agree. It was funny. Relax. That's what we're talking about. Is it was funny. Yeah, I'd go those two guys. That's probably two of the ones where I'd probably start right there. I would love to go. I would love to believe the Crawford hype. Maybe let's wait and see. But he's been getting hype since the spring. I mean, his size and strength and
He's ridiculous, man.
dare I say length and girth, Cole.
But listen, the thing with Jordan Crawford is not just that he's strong. Yes, he's strong.
Yeah.
That dude can move. He's a
Yeah.
pass rush threat. How many nose guards are pass rush threats? There's just not many out there.
If he is, and that's just a tough one because you got some dudes, whether it's Bobby Travis or Malik Blockton, you got some guys ahead of him, and interior defensive line. I mean, if you're going to play as a freshman in the SEC, that is a tall order. But I'd love to think maybe if Crawford's pretty close to what people have talked about him in terms of, but what you heard Freeze was about those guys, I thought it was really interesting. He basically said what he wants from them is, can you give me 10 to 15 awesome snaps? That's it. Like, can you get out there 10, I think he said 15. That's probably a good number, I guess. Can you give me 15 snaps that are fanatical is the word he used when it comes to Crawford and Autry? Can you go out there and give these guys a breather for, just a little bit? I don't know what happened here. There you go. Can you give these guys a breather real quick? Can you just give me a 15 snaps that are everything you've got? I thought that was right and a good way to approach it with those guys. And I thought it was also indicative of maybe what he's expecting of kind of how that will look in terms of the guys that will sort of be the main rotation, and then what role Crawford and Autry in that interior defensive line will have. Like, can you spell my guys for a series or for just a couple of minutes?
There should only be maybe 3 guys that get more than that, that get more than 15 snaps a game, 3 to 4. I think Bobby Travis, Malik Blockton, Keldrick Falk, and maybe just those 3 for interior. Edge, I mean, Cameron Crawford get a lot, but I mean, the rest of the D-line rotation should be 10 to 15 snaps a game.
Yeah.
That's good. That's what you want. Fresh legs always. Guys that are – I don't think any of those guys are, like, all that much better than the ones that are behind the ones I named. Yeah. But they're all good enough to play and help. And that's, I think, what Freeze is saying is what I said before you jumped on. That is a big deal because you can go about 4 deep on the interior right now.
Yeah, I'm really interested. That might be, if I had to pick a position group, that the D-line, probably specifically the interior defensive line, might be the most intriguing to me. Like, just because there's some bodies, I think there's some talent. There's not a dude who's just there's not a Keldrick Falk. There's not a guy that you're like, I know what that guy's capable of. He's going to be really good. That we don't know yet, but there's some talent there that if they can find a good rotation, they might be able to get the job done and be a pretty good unit. And then could Malik Blockton be like a breakout player? Could Bobby Travis be a breakout player? Like, there's potential there. That group is so intriguing, and we just know how important it is. If that group's not good, we could talk about the offense all day. We talk about all that stuff. If that group's not good, yeah, you better be good on offense because you're going to have issues stopping the run and getting to the quarterback and all that. So that group's really is intriguing. Hawk says he's starting to love the goofy stuff Hugh says at this point. I mean, it's sometimes it is kind of that point now where he said it enough that now when he says it, you're like, hilarious. You're like, incredible. When he was saying the length thing, I was in the press conference and I'm listening to him. And when he started talking about length and girth, I was just looking at him going, this is going to go so viral that people are going, I'm in my head, I'm thinking about, this is going to be clipped in about 5 minutes. This is going to be clipped and be on social media of him just going length and girth.
Yeah. Well,
it was hilarious. But yeah, I don't know. Rebecca says, who are you personally excited to see develop during camp? What's one guy?
Yeah, she already asked me this question. So
what was your answer?
Darrell Robinson.
He's an interesting one.
And I said on defense, I said Jordan Crawford and somebody else. By the way, do you know there's a chance that Auburn could have a Crawford in every level of its defense on this field at the same time?
Oh, is that right?
Kieron Crawford, Jordan Crawford, Jay Crawford.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that is true. That's funny. The Crawford trio. I don't know. Who am I personally excited to see develop? I probably lean. I'm trying to think offensively. I mean, I might go Melendez again. Like, I'm trying to think of a guy that I think's really important and that I don't know a lot about. And man, the more you think about this team, the more you kind of go to Melendez and go, his development is huge, just because it's at a position where I don't think there's a ton of depth, and there's definitely some uncertainty, and he's a good talent. Like, you start to think about really important X factors, and he's right up there. His development, it's a lot of pressure on him as a true freshman, but he can really, really, really help this defense if he comes on. And if he doesn't, what is that? And if he doesn't, it could make him thin there. Like, he's a really important player. Maybe. I don't know.
Becca says Crawford is the new Davis. Remember when there were all those Davises? Carlton Davis, Deshaun Davis.
Yeah.
There was more too. Javaris Davis. I'm still going. You know who's really interesting?
Yeah. Michael's just full of optimism today. Can't wait to learn
what transfer the bust.
Percy Lewis was a bust, and they knew it early last fall. They knew. They were like, he's not getting it done. I mean, they knew then.
They still put him out there.
They just didn't have a good answer. Shane Hooks, that group of Hooks, Martin, Shorter. My goodness, that was horrific.
Our guy on the board, War Eagle Insider, real popular poster on the board. He bumped a post he made like 3 years ago where he said, talking about those three, Hooks, Martin, and Shorter, this is going to be like throwing it to the Monstars from Space Jam. He said, sorry, guys. I'm sorry about this take, y'all. This was bad. Sorry.
Yeah, Hooks was a guy that had a lot of potential. I mean, remember he made that, was it in the spring or the fall that he made that crazy one-handed catch? And you're like, dude, this guy's got all kinds of ability.
Do you know that he's got one of the longest wingspans that's come through Auburn in a long time?
I mean, the talent was there. I don't know about us. I don't know if there. I mean, I'm sure there will be somebody that maybe doesn't get in the mix the way you thought they would, but
yeah, it happens every year. Who do you? I don't want to guess who that guy is.
Well, and it's going to happen. Well, I was going to say every program is maybe different. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the transfer portal. I don't know. You might reach a little bit for portal guys because you're obviously getting portal guys because you're trying to fill a need. I mean, it's just like freshmen. I mean, you're just bound to miss on a few. You're bound to miss on some that just don't have quite the impact you thought. It's going to happen. You just don't need like 4 transfers in one class being complete non-factors. That would be too high of a ratio. 1 or 2, okay, but you start getting into like you bring a transfer class of let's say 12 and a third of them don't see the field. Well, ideally every transfer you bring in needs to work out. I mean, it's not like a freshman. It's like he's played football. You've got tape. It's a position of need. You know, you want to bet a pretty high percentage when it comes to bringing in portal guys. You don't want to be going half your portal guys on a yearly basis are non-factors. That's just a waste. If you bring in 12, not at least 9 better be everything you thought they were going to be. To me, that's the whole point of bringing them in.
Yep. Another real quick on Becca's question. Another guy is Jacoby Matthews. Man, I'm really interested to see how he pans out, how quick he can get back into it because he could help Auburn a lot if he gets back to what he's capable of. But Hayden Beasley wants to know who's a good player comparison for Eric Singleton. And how many rush attempts do you think you will have?
Oh, I don't know about. I mean, who knows on rush attempts? I mean, I guess there'll be some reverses. There'll be some of those little shovel passes where he's in motion, probably a quick little boom, boom, that kind of jet sweep type stuff.
Would it shock you at all if he ever lined up at running back?
Like I mean, to
I
run the
mean,
ball or
I
like
don't
and
think
just
he would
some.
be. Yeah, some kind of gadget play where
Oh
I mean,
no, like to line him up there. No, I mean I don't think you're seeing a ton, but I could see him lining him up there and then motioning out. Maybe
yeah.
maybe you run a play with him there, but I would, I don't know. I don't know about comparison. I mean, well, I can tell you a player that comes to mind, but I'm gonna say it, and you're gonna be like, it's gonna be like this comparison game where when you say the name, I'm not saying he's quite literally going to have that kind of long-term impact. But if I just thought about size, speed, Tyreek Hill comes to mind. Now, Tyreek Hill is elite speed. I mean, Eric Singleton's elite speed. Tyreek Hill's Olympic speed. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying maybe he's not quite that fast, but Eric Singleton's is a 4.3 fast. Like he's very fast. That's who I think about. Like small, strong. He's not. He's not small. Like his height's small, but he's not a skinny guy. I mean, I think he's built well for his size, and he's really fast. That's who kind of comes to mind. Like I think you just got to get that guy. I think his speed is going to be the separator. He doesn't have to have a massive catch radius because I think his ability to separate running routes or crossing the field is going to get him open the way Tyreek can in some of those ways. But that's who comes to mind. But I hate saying that because everybody's like Tyreek Hill.
No, I mean you have to do it to somebody they know. You can't just. But to me, this is a good one. I've gone back and looked at not just Auburn stuff, but Freeze. Has Freeze ever had a guy like Singleton? I think he did at Liberty. Demario Douglas, who now plays for the Patriots, and I think had a good year. I think that's more what you're looking at. I think you might have a higher ceiling than Demario Douglas. Like Douglas is playing in the pros right now. He's a little guy, not a big guy. Speedy, good route runner, good hands. I don't think anybody talks about Eric Singleton, his hands, but he had good hands at Georgia Tech. A lot of contested catches for a smaller guy. So that's going to be a big part of his game too. Zach says at Georgia Tech, Eric Singleton had 21 rushing attempts for 131 yards last year.
So, yeah, I was trying to look at this article from Todd McShay where he's talking about him. He kind of compared him to, I don't know who this is. I guess this kid's played at USC, but I don't remember this kid. Makai Lemon at USC, 5'11", 180, was a 4-star top 100 player.
I remember the name. I don't remember much about him.
Yeah, I was trying to see if he tossed into any of his quotes, if he tossed in a comparison to any all. But I mean, that's what I think about as a Tyreek-ish type.
Well, that would be the way they use him, right? They just everywhere gadget. But I think that Eric Singleton is also a good receiver on his own, and he needs to be used in that way. You don't want to go full Gus Malzahn where, hey, you're just a gadget player. You are only the jet sweep guy. You are only the wheel route guy. You don't want to get into all that. I hope Freeze is better than that. I think he is. Okay, Zach says Lemon was USC's leading receiver last year. So he's recent. He's a very recent player.
Yeah, similar size. I just haven't kept up with that. I was trying to do a quick little. Let's see if I can find any comparisons, but I haven't really found one yet. Oh, somebody here's one. Here's a mock draft that compares him to Brandon Cooks.
Remember Brandon Cooks?
Yeah, similar. I mean,
he's not that small though.
He's not small. Cooks was probably a little. Yeah, Cooks was probably maybe a little bit smaller.
Eric Singleton doesn't look like the smallest guy out there. He looks like he belongs. I mean, he's big enough. He's not a small person. He's just shorter. He weighs like 195, doesn't he?
Yeah, 5'11", 190. Yeah, whereas Cooks was a little bit smaller than that.
Yeah, pro tip, if you're playing the college football game, put him running back.
Put him at running back?
Thank me later. Thank me later. You weren't there at practice, Justin, but Malcolm Simmons was there.
He was. Of course, Freeze talked about that earlier in the day, and we knew that was coming. Jay Tate put on the board that he reported on Tuesday morning. And so, I mean, that's one of those where it's like, they did their due diligence. I mean, once you didn't hear anything immediately, you kind of knew which way this was going. If the evidence was overwhelming in that case, he'd have been kicked off. DJ Barber was kicked off immediately. If this was an open shut thing, it would have been handled. Simmons would have been removed from the team. The fact that we didn't hear anything, the fact that they didn't remove him from the team, pretty much told you right away that there's more to the story, and that you kind of knew, okay, this is something that could have been, yeah.
I will say this: this was the most coached up Freeze quote I've seen in a long time. Like
he had his answer down.
He was definitely coached on this one. Like, this is what you will say. You will not deviate whatsoever from this sentence. And it was based on the information that I've been given from our campus administration, who have knowledge of the matter. He has been cleared to participate in team activities.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should say.
Which I even had an Alabama fan buddy text me and like, that's perfect. Like he was fully expecting Freeze to screw that up somehow and say something he shouldn't have said. And he said, that is exactly what I would have told him to say. Yeah,
and he was pressed on it a few minutes later, and he just repeated his answer. Well, it's the right answer. First of all, it's true. That's a matter that's not up to Freeze. That's a law. That's what's the legality? What's the Title IX? What's the administration? That's an administration thing, a school thing. The law. That's not even a Freeze thing. And so, just say they've handled it based on the information. They're saying he's cleared. You don't even make it about the second you start to even say something like, if you just even start to dive into that as a coach, now you're getting subjective. You're maybe inferring, you're getting your opinion in there, and you want no part of that. The administration was probably like, put it on us. You say, we said he's clear. That's it. It's on us. You don't even begin. So,
bottom line, that's all you need to say. Good, good job on that. And then he was out there, full participant. I did notate, Justin, in the practice observations that this is unofficial. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but he was with the third group of receivers, technically. Okay. And so was Horatio Fields. So, that's just how they lined up that day. It probably will be different the next time we see it.
Well, and let's remember, we've been to enough of these last couple of years now. You can kind of some guys you kind of know what some of the depth chart looks like. You can kind of look at that. Who some of the starters are. We kind of know how receivers going to plan out. But I could easily see them telling Malcolm, "Hey, you can earn your way. Like, you're playing, but you made a mistake here. You got in a situation you shouldn't have been in. You're going to earn your way back. You're going to earn some trust back. Like, just because he's on the team doesn't mean that he wasn't potentially in the wrong in what he did. So, like, I could easily see there being a little bit of you don't just get to trot out there and be with the ones, I mean, I could see that.
Justin, as we're closing everything up here, can I walk you through the lineups, how I saw them on offense? Are you interested in that at all?
Yeah. Was there anything? I mean, what surprised? I mean, I feel like offense. God, I feel like all the questions are on defense. Was there anything surprising offensively?
Well, Caleb Jones had defense. We'll talk to him at some point. I was on the offensive side watching that first group. First group of offensive linemen was what we thought it was going to be. Chaplin, Wade, Lou, Wright, Murphy is that right tackle. And then your skill, which was they were in 11 personnel. Perry Thompson, Cam Coleman were your two outside guys. Your slot was Eric Singleton, tight end Brandon Frazier, running back Damari Austin, quarterback Jackson Arnold. So I guess maybe the only surprise there is that Perry Thompson trotted out there first. That doesn't mean he is first. It just means he trotted out there first for that drill.
Yeah.
Which was plays on air. You've seen them do that where they kind of go tempo, run the plays all the way down the field.
Yeah.
All right. So your second group of offensive line then is Isavian Miller was that left tackle. DeAndre Carter at left guard. Dylan Cinda at center. Seth Wilfred at right guard, and Tyler Johnson at right tackle, which I feel like is a nice little backup group right there.
Yeah, I was about to ask, is there, who would you feel the most? I mean, obviously Miller's played a lot of ball, not always great. Obviously, it's why they went out and got two transfer tackles. But but he's played a lot of football. It's not a bad backup for sure. And Tyler Johnson, I mean, he's played some, although he kind of had a lot of hype, and then he got in there and wasn't great. But
you cannot convince me it was political with Percy Lewis. There's no way Tyler Johnson's worse than Percy Lewis. I don't believe it. You can't. Nobody can convince me of that. I won't hear it.
That was a rough one. And then Percy was bad. So not bad backup tackle options. I mean, like emergency options. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Senda, we haven't seen him a ton. Carter, obviously, there's a lot of potential. And who was the backup right guard?
Seth Wilfred.
Who's played some. I mean,
yeah, he's just a second-year guy. He was a JUCO. He played in JUCO and then came in last year's first year as second.
When you look at that, do you probably look at that and go Connor Lew is the guy that you just cannot lose? I mean, like when I think about that lineup, I'm like Connor Lew. Like if you think about baseball wins above replacement, Connor Lew maybe feels like the guy that would have the biggest gap between him and the backup.
I mean, you definitely don't want to lose Connor Lew, but the guy that was with the third team is the guy that I think will eventually be with the second team is Kel Ellis.
Who Freeze mentioned, yeah.
Let me tell you, that was one of my biggest takeaways from being there. He already looks like he should be a starter, just off of appearance.
He's big. I looked up when that story's. I mean, the roster's got him. I think I looked him up at 6'4", 315 or something.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. And he's supposed to be a senior in high school right now. So I have a lot of confidence that guy's going to be good.
So are you with me on Connor Lew on wins above replacement, or is there somebody else that you think – what's the biggest gap between starter and backup along that line?
I would say probably your right guard, Wright and Wilfred. Maybe center for – if Senda's your backup, I think it's center for sure. But if not, right guard probably. I don't think you're losing much if you have to – like Miller was at left tackle, but if Mason Murphy went down, I think you'd have Miller in at right tackle. Like he'll play either. If Chaplin went down at left tackle, I think it would be Miller and not Tyler Johnson. Is that how you see it too?
Yeah, those tackles, at least Miller's played some ball. Even Wilford played some snaps at times. Tyler Johnson's played some snaps. I mean, you feel like they could go in and at least, not just be complete. I don't know what the word is. I mean, not just be a complete drain on the offense. Like they can probably go in and kind of hold their own.
Right.
You can maybe manage around them, maybe manage around the fact that they're in there. Connor Lew not being in there would just be number one. He's the center, but even the backup, I mean, that's just probably the guy that you can't lose.
Yeah. So when they went with the second group, they did 12 personnel instead of 11. So they had 2 tight ends in on that, and the 2 tight ends were Preston Howard and freshman Ryan G. And then your receivers were Sam Turner and Cameron King was with the second group. And then running back Darrell Robinson, quarterback Deuce Knight. So I thought it was interesting, too, that they were in 12 personnel and they were working on that. I still think that's going to be a big deal with this offense. And then your third group of offensive line, which I think has got some prospects in it. Ty Buster at left tackle, Brody Scholl at left guard was interesting. Kel Ellis at center, Jacoby Ward at right guard, and Favor Edwin at right tackle.
Yeah, certainly a lot of development.
Yep,
a lot of youngsters there.
And then your skill guys, they went back to 11 personnel. This was Malcolm Simmons and Horatio Fields were your receivers with Bryce Kane at slot, Omar Madison at running back, and then Ashton Daniels at quarterback.
So when you describe that, are we saying Perry and Horatio are basically at a spot? I mean, how are you saying? You're saying is Malcolm on the outside or is he in the slot?
He was in this case. I think Malcolm's probably going to play a lot of slot. I think Eric Singleton is going to play slot. What it could look like, I was thinking about this yesterday, is that your 2 outside guys are Cam and Perry. It could look like that, or Horatio. I think Perry and Horatio are interchangeable there. And then your starting slot is Singleton. But then when you want to move Singleton around, it's Simmons that goes to the slot and comes in.
You got some options. And the more I think about Perry, we've talked about him at times, and I've said I'm wondering how he gets on the field when you have Cam and Singleton where the ball's going to go, and Horatio Fields, who he thinks really good. And we've always say, where are the targets for Perry? And I still do wonder that, but I think fall camp could be big for him. I mean, maybe he comes in and makes a move and is right. Maybe he can go toe to toe with Horatio Fields. Maybe he stays right with him in terms of catching the ball, running routes, and maybe a couple weeks into practice, you go, listen, Perry's been as good as Horatio. I mean, it's a big fall camp for Perry. I think a really big fall camp.
Huge.
I mean, he's been in the offense. He's a big physical guy. At worst, he's a guy that you should feel good about tossing out there and being part of the blocking game. I mean, you feel like he can go lock up on a corner and should be able to do a pretty good job of blocking. That's important. But it'll be interesting that the next couple of weeks, sort of what we hear about Perry.
Yeah. So, it doesn't mean he's the starter. He's just out there with that first group on the first day of fall camp. We'll see how that plays out. I think him and Horatio are really like, if they call it like wide receiver X or Z, I think they're the same, whether it's X or Z. I don't really get into all that too much, but I think they're in the same spot. I think they'll probably play equal amount of snaps, if I had to guess, between those two.
Yeah, that might be one to watch. I mean, I think we're all just sort of assuming you brought Horatio in for a reason, and he is. I mean, I think we're all agreeing that he's got ability. We're not saying he's not, but maybe let's let that develop a little bit and not count out Perry quite yet.
I'll say the one guy that kept catching my eye during practice was Omar Mapson. Yep.
Just skill, ability.
The way he's built. He really, when he and Damari Alston were standing next to each other, if they did not have numbers on, it would have been hard to tell them apart. They are built very similarly, low to the ground. And, Damari is up to 214 now. Mapson's 213. So this is another guy that's supposed to be in high school right now. That's just his physical development is impressive to me.
Well, that's good. I still don't, I still think he's, staring at a red shirt probably, but maybe it's a guy that, going into next spring and next year, maybe overlooking him a little bit. He could be a better prospect than we think. It's just, I
don't mean to overlook Alvin Henderson, because we were getting some questions about Alvin. I think he's going to be fine too. He's about 210 or 205 now.
Yeah,
which he was like 185 playing at Elba last year. So a lot of progression on his part as well. He went through spring. He'll have a shot. I mean, if anybody gets banged up, those guys are going to be right in line, I would think.
Yeah.
I was saying this before you got on, Justin. I was talking to a buddy about Kerryon Johnson and him going on Twitter and having a Q&A, and it kind of made people upset.
Yeah.
And somebody made the comment to him on Twitter, like, they ran you in the ground. I can understand why you wouldn't, which he didn't take that very well either. He's like, well, I mean, I love Gus Malzahn. What are you talking about? The point was, they didn't really have anybody else. They had to run Kerryon in the ground. That's what they had. That Cam Martin was their backup. Cam Petway was in there somewhere if he didn't get hurt. I can't remember how that played out. But what I'm trying to say is, this running back room, I think you got so many more options. You should never get in that situation with this running back room. You don't have a Kerryon.
No, Kerryon was a really unique player, but they didn't really Kerryon split time with Petway in 16. I mean, Petway got
17.
Kerryon got hurt. No, well, 16 Kerryon got. I mean, yes, a little 17. Kerryon was kind of the workhorse in 17, but 16 Kerryon got a little banged up early, and it turned into the Petway show. In the middle of that year, it was just Sean White handing off the Cameron Petway, and they were rolling folks. And then Kerryon, but I don't know about run him into the ground. That's not even really a fair statement, by the way. But yes, I agree. I agree with this running back room. It's when's the last time? And we got to go. I know Zach's got to go. Maybe it's a question for another day. But when's the last time Auburn had a running back room that looked like this, where you're like, there's not a dude. It's just it seems to very much going to be. I mean, you had Hunter to Tank to like. I mean, even I didn't love Booby Whitlow, but he was the guy. He was pretty much the guy. I didn't think he was that good, but he was the main guy. I'd have to think about the last time it looked like this, where you're like, I think some combination of three guys.
Yeah, I think it was 2015, I believe, is the closest. So I'm looking at it. It was Carry-On, who was a
young freshman. Yeah.
You had Javon Robinson, who I thought was very talented.
Javon, that's my boy Javon.
You had Peyton Barber,
not
who
good,
played, and Rock Thomas, who got some snaps in there. So that was the last time I think Auburn had like a numbers in the running back room, or at least guys that are going to play and going to get touches.
Yeah. I'd have to. Yeah, you probably have a number. Yeah, I mean, certainly Javon had his moment in the A&M game. Carry-On had his carries. Peyton had his carries. Yeah, it was kind of a mix. I mean, Peyton had carries. Carry-On had carries. Javon had a game.
Dude,
Javon had some here there.
Javon Robinson was awesome. I don't care. He was really good.
He was a 5-star. He should have been out when they were getting him. I thought he was, was really going to be a stud. It just kind of didn't pan out. You're right. I mean, that's the last year where you go back to going, not a surefire. This dude's the one. These guys are going to get a shot at times.
You've had some 1-2 punches. I mean, Tank and Jarquez Hunter was a great one. That was a really nice duo, but behind them, I mean, it was just those two. That was it.
But you had a hierarchy. 15 is probably the last time you're like, you could debate. You could go, I think Carry-On's best. No, I think Javon might be the best back. Or Peyton has his moments. And yeah, so 10 years.
Somebody asked Carry-On, do you think Gus would have kicked Malcolm off the team? And he goes, I saw Gus kick people off for less.
Yeah. That's a whole different discussion.
Zach says Rock Thomas just never adjusted to the SEC, but he was awesome at Jacksonville State.
He did. He did go to Jack State.
People got upset the other day. Somebody asked me point blank, who would you compare Darrell Robinson to? And all I said was running style reminds me of Rock Thomas. And so he's going to be spinning 100 times?
Rock's high school film was legit. I mean, I thought watching Rock Thomas in high school, how good he was. Yeah, like awesome. I thought he had a ton of Carnell Williams in him. He was hard to tackle. I was like, this guy's a lot like Carnell, man. And he just, but you never know.
I think he was a 5-star running back at one point.
He was. Everybody wanted him.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, we can wrap it up there, Justin. I was floundering a little bit before you came on. I'm glad you joined. Not really. I think it was going good.
We'll go to the site. We'll talk to, what are we on? Are we Thursday? I lose track. Thursday. We talk to players later today. So we'll have, we'll see who we get later today after practice. And then we don't talk to anybody Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So we'll have some content over the weekend from some different things from guys. So it'll be a little bit quiet for a few days. No practice, no observations, no photos, none of that for the next few days. So,
yep. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for Auburn Sports. I called it Auburn Live earlier.
How dare you?
You wear the shirt. So
that's true. I literally have a shirt on.
Auburn Sports at 1 today, not noon. So thanks for joining us. We will, for Justin, for Zach, for myself, we'll catch you next time. See you.